Good day guys, today I'm going to share with you how to automate web using VBA, and for this tutorial we will be using the Acme System 1 application. This is one of the test application of an RPA software like UiPath. So on the rest of this tutorial we will be using this application. Okay, so in this we'll navigate to this URL, input email, password, and click the login button. So that will be our, and if we receive a message box like this, we should be able to click that OK. So let me input my correct password. And then once we are logged into the application, we need to navigate to the work item by clicking this button, and then we need to scrape this information. We need to capture all this item and send to an Excel sheet or worksheet, but we need to filter it with only items under WI5. So we need to navigate through all pages and until we reach the last page, and again capture the information that we need. So going back in here, we need to go through each item. Here we need to capture the client information, client ID name, and then after we get that, we need to navigate to another application. Let's call it Shawan. So we will navigate to this application where we will get the client ID followed by a dash, and then the client name, again followed by a dash, and then the client country. And then let's click hash button, and then we need to get this hash result. And then after we get that, we need to copy that, update the work item, and then input here the hash result. And then we also need to select completed on the new status drop down, and then hit the update button and hit this OK. Alright, so we need to do that in all the work item under the calculate client security hash and WI5 type. Okay, so before we start, make sure to reset our test data. Alright, but before that, make sure to subscribe to my channel, Love Coding, so you will be updated in all my update video like RPA, VBA automation, and other programming languages in the future. Just hit the subscribe button. Okay, so I think we can now start. Look for the Excel application. So we will be creating a macro inside this application using VBA. So we need to activate our developer tab. You can do that by clicking this file, go to option, and then customize ribbon and check the developer. Now you can see here, click the Visual Basic, and then here We'll start with, wait, let me just fix the font size of my editor so you will be able to see it. So let's start with creating a new module. And let's name this module system 1 login, since that is the first task that we need to do. And before you start with web automation, make sure to add the reference. So go to tools, reference, and then look for Microsoft HTML object library and Microsoft Internet Control. So make sure that these two references are selected before you start, and then hit OK. So we'll be using option explicit on this code to make sure that every variable are declared before we use it. So I think we need to make a constant variable that will hold the value of these two URL. So let me create a new module for our variables, for our public variables. So we'll start with the system1 URL. Let's make it a string, or yeah, let's make it a constant variable since this value will never change. And then let's add another one for the SHA1 URL. Then let's copy the URL. Copy this and paste it here. And then the SHA1 URL. Alright, so let's go back to the system1 module. But first, let's save this Excel workbook. What will be its name? Okay, make sure to save it as macro enabled workbook to enable our code. Alright, so going back to the system1 login, let's start with creating a sub procedure, but let's declare the IE first. Let's use Internet Explorer as its variable type, and then let's start with a sub procedure. Let's call it system1 login. And then here, let's set the IE to a new instance of Internet Explorer. Make sure that the IE visible is equal to true. And then let's navigate to the system1 URL. Alright. And let's add a do while statement here to wait for the application load before we go with the next event. Let's use do while ie.bdc and then do while ie.ready state, so it should be ready state complete, and do events. Let's try this code. Oh yes, it worked. Let's add some comment in here. Well, after this, we need to input our email and password and then click the login button. Okay, so let's use Google Chrome and inspect the email element. And we can see here that it has a attribute ID, which is email. So let's declare our element before we use it. So dim inp as HTML input element, and then let's set this inp is equals to i.document that get element by id, which is the email id for the and then let's say input value is equals to your username or email address. So let's try this code. And we're getting an error. So I'm not sure what this error, why this error exists. So let me check here if we miss anything. Okay, I think we need to also declare a variable that will hold the IE document. So let's use IE.doc as HTML document, and then let's set it to the IE.document. So let's replace we need to replace this IE.document to IE.doc. Element by ID and then the ID of that element. So yeah, let's put a break in here. And click F8. That's it. Yeah, it works. So what's the problem? So let's try this again. Let me see if this will work this time. Okay, we're still having an error. I think it's because of the delay. I think we need to change this line to, yeah, is there other command for this one? Is there a straight or direct ready state complete? No. So I think we need to change this to do until instead of do while. And again, let's return ready state complete status and let's test it. Yeah, it worked now. It's only because of that. So make sure to change the do while to do until, and then now we need to input our password, but make sure to set the new attributes of our inp variable. So get the ID of the password element, and then we need to put our password in here. Let's try to run it, and yes, it worked. And now we need to click this login button, so inspect it first, and we also have an ID attribute. Make sure to copy that, and then here let's declare another variable. Let's call it button. It should be a button element, and set that button to get element by ID, and then the button ID, and then we need to click that. So let's test it. And yeah, it's worked. So we had a successful login. So again, make sure to change this, and here we also need to make sure that the page is loaded before we add the next line of code. So copy this do statement here, and then let's say message box after the login is successful. Let's have another test. And yes, it worked. Okay, so I think we're good now with the system 1 login. I think it's more safe if we add a 3 seconds delay after we click the login button, to make sure that it will handle the loading time. So let's replace that code with application that wait. So wait, how to use this line of code? Let me try to remember. Oops, we have an error. I think we just missed another closing parenthesis. So let's try to run it, and let's see if it's much better. Again, let's put 3 seconds delay, and yes, I think it's accurate now.